Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. Today, we're journeying back in time to a land nestled between two rivers, a place often called the cradle of civilization. We're talking about Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, in what is modern-day Iraq. This is where some of humanity's greatest innovations first sparked to life, a story of cities, kings, gods, and the very dawn of written history. So grab your virtual passport, because our adventure into the heart of the ancient world begins now. Before cities and empires, Mesopotamia was home to small, scattered farming communities. The real game changer was learning to control the rivers. The Tigris and Euphrates could be unpredictable, bringing devastating floods. But the people here, the Sumerians, were brilliant engineers. Around 6000 BCE, they developed complex irrigation systems, building canals and levees to channel the water. This agricultural revolution created a food surplus, meaning not everyone had to be a farmer anymore. This surplus was the seed from which cities grew. People could specialize in different trades: pottery, weaving, metalworking, and priesthood. Society became more complex, and small villages blossomed into bustling urban centers like Uruk, Ur, and Eridu. These weren't just settlements, they were the world's first true cities. With the rise of cities came the need for organization, and with organization came the first form of writing. Imagine trying to keep track of grain storage, trade deals, and taxes without any written records. It would be chaos. The Sumerians solved this problem around 3500 BCE with a revolutionary invention: cuneiform. It started as simple pictures or pictograms, pressed into wet clay tablets with a reed stylus. Over time, these pictures evolved into wedge-shaped symbols, representing sounds and concepts. Cuneiform unlocked a new world. It allowed for laws to be recorded, literature to be written, and history itself to be documented. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's earliest surviving works of literature, was written in cuneiform. It's an incredible tale of a king's quest for immortality, grappling with themes of friendship, loss, and the meaning of life, themes we still explore today. Life in a Sumerian city was a vibrant mix of commerce, religion, and governance. At the heart of each city stood a massive, terraced, pyramid-like structure called a ziggurat. These weren't just temples, they were the center of city life, dedicated to a patron god or goddess. The Sumerians believed these gods controlled every aspect of their world, from the harvest to the floods. Priests and priestesses held immense power, acting as intermediaries between the people and the divine. The ziggurat was also an economic hub, with storehouses for grain and workshops for artisans. Around it, a labyrinth of streets bustled with merchants, farmers, and craftsmen. It was a society with a clear hierarchy, with the king and priests at the top, followed by scribes, merchants, and finally, farmers and laborers. The Sumerians were incredible innovators beyond writing. They developed the wheel, not just for pottery, but for carts and chariots, revolutionizing transportation and warfare. They were also gifted astronomers and mathematicians. To manage their agricultural calendar, they charted the movements of the stars and planets. They developed a base 60 numerical system, which is the reason we still have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 360 degrees in a circle. Think about that. Every time you check your watch, you're using a system born in ancient Mesopotamia thousands of years ago. Their legacy is embedded in the very fabric of our daily lives. But the story of Mesopotamia is one of constant change and conquest. The Sumerian city-states were often at war with each other, vying for resources and dominance. This period of conflict eventually led to the rise of the world's first empire. Around 2334 BCE, a man named Sargon of Akkad united the disparate cities of Mesopotamia under a single ruler. The Akkadian Empire was a new model of power, creating a centralized government and a standing army. Sargon became a legend, a model for future kings who sought to build vast empires. While the Akkadian Empire eventually fell, it set a precedent. Power in Mesopotamia would shift from one group to another, each leaving its unique mark on the region. Following the Akkadians, the city of Ur experienced a brief but brilliant resurgence, known as the Third Dynasty of Ur. This was a time of great cultural and architectural achievement, but the next great power to emerge was Babylon, a city that would become legendary. Under its most famous ruler, Hammurabi, who reigned in the 18th century BCE, Babylon became the center of a vast empire. Hammurabi is best remembered for his famous Code of Laws, engraved on a massive stone stele. The Code of Hammurabi listed nearly 300 laws, covering everything from property rights and trade to family law and crime. It famously operated on the principle of an eye for an eye, but it also established the idea that the state had a responsibility to ensure justice for its citizens. It was a monumental step forward in the history of law. After Hammurabi, Mesopotamia saw the rise and fall of other powerful groups, like the Hittites and the Kassites. But the next true superpower to dominate the region was the Assyrian Empire. The Assyrians were a formidable military force, known for their iron weapons, siege engines, and disciplined army. From their capital cities like Nineveh, they built an empire that stretched from Egypt to parts of modern-day Iran. They were ruthless conquerors, but also great builders and patrons of the arts. The library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh was one of the greatest collections of knowledge in the ancient world, housing tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets on every conceivable subject. It was a treasure trove of Mesopotamian learning, preserving works like the Epic of Gilgamesh for future generations. The Assyrians' brutal tactics eventually led to their downfall as conquered peoples rose up in rebellion. In 612 BCE, a coalition of Babylonians and Medes destroyed Nineveh, bringing the mighty Assyrian Empire to an end. This ushered in the final great native Mesopotamian empire, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Its most famous king, Nebuchadnezzar II, transformed Babylon into the most magnificent city of its time. He is credited with building the legendary Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, although its exact location and existence are still debated by historians. He also built the stunning Ishtar Gate, a massive gateway decorated with vibrant blue glazed bricks and depictions of dragons and bulls. Under Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon was the undisputed center of the world. However, even the glorious Neo-Babylonian Empire was not destined to last forever. In 539 BCE, a new power rose from the east. The Persians, led by Cyrus the Great. Cyrus conquered Babylon, famously without a major battle, and incorporated Mesopotamia into his vast Achaemenid Empire. This marked the end of Mesopotamia as a seat of independent native power. While the culture and knowledge of Mesopotamia endured and heavily influenced the Persians, Greeks, and Romans, its time as the center of its own world had come to a close. The cradle of civilization was now part of a much larger global story. So, what is the ultimate legacy of ancient Mesopotamia? It's almost impossible to overstate. From the first cities and the invention of writing to the wheel, law codes, and our system of telling time, their innovations laid the foundation for virtually every civilization that followed. They were the original pioneers, the ones who first wrestled with the big questions of society, governance, and our place in the universe. The story of Mesopotamia is our story. It's the story of humanity's first bold steps into the light of history, a legacy written in clay and built in brick that continues to shape our world today. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey to the land between the rivers. If you enjoyed this exploration of ancient history, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to History of the Ancient World. For more adventures into our shared past, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next episode. See you next time.